Thank you, Sheriff. You all may be seated. Good morning, members of the jury. I just wanted to see if you all were still speaking to me. I do apologize. I do want you to know that we have been working. We haven't not been working. And I'm hopeful that the work that we've been doing will streamline the process for the rest of the day. And as I said before, if there's any pauses or any delays in this trial, always hold it against me. Don't ever hold it against the lawyers. It's my trial. I run it. If you would please raise your right hand. You don't have to stand up. It's okay. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth. I do. Very good. You will recall that we're in the state's case in chief. Who will be taking this witness for the state? Mr. Snipes. You'll be responding to questions from Mr. Snipes and perhaps also either Mr. Gill or Mr. Brissett to your left. You may proceed when ready.
Please state your full name and spell your name for the record.
Jeremy, Jeremy, Austin, Austin, Seaton, Seaton.
And you're in school now, is that right?
Yes.
And where is that?
Sam Houston State.
And you previously were at either community college or junior college up in Vernon, Texas, is that right?
Yes, Vernon College.
And myself and Investigator Bryce visited you about a month or so ago to talk about this case, right?
Yes.
The testimony that you're going to give today is based on things that you saw the night of April 29th, is that right?
Yes.
Let me take you back to April 29th, 2017. I'll ask you if you went to a party at 12304 Barron Drive.
Yes.
And did you go there at night?
Yes.
How did you guys find out about this?
I found out about the party through Eric, and he found it out by his friends.
At the time, where were you going to school?
West Mesquite.
And where was Eric going to school?
West Mesquite.
How did you guys know each other?
We played football together.
Okay. And did you know Jordan Edwards?
Yes.
How did you know him?
Through football.
Okay. Is it fair to say all you guys basically footballers?
Yes.
All right. And as a matter of fact, what's Eric doing now by way of football?
Starting running back, from what I heard.
For some college up in Oklahoma?
Yeah, SBU.
Okay. So you found out about the party. Why would you want to go to this party?
We were just going just to go. We had nothing better to do, so we were just going.
And Eric was your best friend at the time?
Yes.
Okay. And who drove that party?
I did.
What did you drive?
I drove my Ford F-150.
What color is it?
Gray.
You still have it?
Yes.
And do you remember where you parked that night?
Yes.
Where?
In the parking lot of the nursing home.
And with us that night?
Sure. Keep your voices up, please. If y'all need to move around, go ahead. Mr. Seaton, whenever you're talking, I want to make sure you talk loud enough for this young lady to hear everything you're saying, all right?
And would you point there on this map, which is State's Exhibit 6, show ladies and gentlemen of the jury where the truck was parked.
It was parked in the parking lot of there and the Chevrolet. It was parked here in the front row of the parking lot.
Where that nursing home is?
It's facing Chevrolet.
Okay. And was it facing down towards the west?
Yes.
Can I ask you to demonstrate again? I could not see. I wonder if you on this end of the jury box to see exactly what you
I was right here in the front row of the parking lot. Right here on the nursing home facing westward from Chevrolet.
Go ahead.
That's all I have.
All right. Go ahead and have a seat. Be careful on your way up there.
About what time did you get to this party?
Around 9:15, 9:30.
And tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about the party. What did you see?
When we first arrived, there was a lot of people outside and stuff, and when we parked, we walked to the house, and then we went to the front door, and they were asking admission. So me and Eric just paid the admission,
How much
and
was it?
like $2.
You get anything for that?
No.
All right. Describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury basically what the environment was like at the party.
There was a lot of people, which caused the house to get hot, so we stayed outside mostly and stayed outside talking to people outside and not really going inside a lot.
Was there music?
Yes.
What kind of music?
Rap music.
The customary stuff that guys your age listen to?
Yes.
All right. Did you see Jordan that night?
No, not in the party.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury more about how it is that you knew Jordan and what your relationship was with him.
My relationship with Jordan would be playing football against him through football and that nature of just community through football.
Did he have a reputation for being a good football player?
Yeah, he's an excellent football player.
Do you remember what position he played?
At the time, everybody played every position, but he was all around athlete.
Okay, so you go to the party, and what did you and Eric do?
We paid the admission. We walked in the first few feet of the doorway and realized it was too many people to be inside, so we stood outside in the front for a few minutes and socialized out there. Then I told Eric, let's go to the back, so we went to the back of the house and we stayed back there for a while.
Were you having a good time?
Yes.
Was everybody having a good time?
Yes.
So you kind of fighting or arguing or anything like that?
No.
Did you, before you went to this party, did you see a flyer that actually advertised the party?
Yes.
Did you know anybody on that flyer?
No.
Did you use any alcohol that night?
No.
Did you use any drugs?
No.
Did you see anyone use any alcohol or drugs?
No.
Okay. About 11:06 p.m. on April 29, 2017, did something happen that made that party a lot different?
Yes.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about that.
When me and Eric were in the back of the house, we could see the cops show up and their lights are reflecting off the houses and stuff, and the people running the party came to the back of the house yelling 12, 12, telling people the cops were there.
Okay. Now, I've never heard of that term. What does 12 mean?
It means like cops are here and basically just get away, go away. That leave.
So is that what you and Eric did?
Yes.
Okay, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how you went from being at that party, saying 12, and then getting your truck.
So after they came back to the back of the house yelling 12, we started jumping the fences, heading east, over fence, over fence, over fence, eventually getting to my truck that was parked in the nursing home. And we just stood there until basically kind of settled down.
Okay. And you and your buddy Eric decided not to drive off. Do you remember about what that decision making was?
Yes, that was because we knew we weren't doing anything wrong, so we just didn't make the decision just to drive off and make it seem like we were doing something.
And your buddy Eric basically talked you into that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're sitting there. Did something very unusual happen in the parking lot shortly after the time that you got to your truck?
Yes.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about that.
When we got to my truck, we sat there for a while and waited and calmed down. And then SUV pulled up. A bunch of people came out and backed into the parking lot of the north side of the parking lot. And
You say a bunch of people came out. What do you mean by that?
just people just started piling out of the SUV, yelling.
What color was this SUV?
Gray.
What were they yelling?
They were just yelling gang stuff and all of that sorts.
Now, did you work at a mall at some point in time in 2017 or 2016?
Yes, I worked at Journeys at Townies Mall.
And while you were working there, did you come to know a person known as Tupac?
Yes.
Will you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how you knew this person known as Tupac?
I did not know him as a person, but I knew him through working there, and like it was just groups and groups of people that go to the mall, hang out, and he just stuck out because they would always be yelling his name and basically just that sort of stuff.
Do you know why he was called Tupac?
I guess he resembled him.
Resembled who?
Tupac,
The rap singer?
I guess. Yes.
All right. And you subsequently come to know him as the Michael Weapons, right?
Yes.
So, would you recognize a photograph of this person that you know as Tupac when you saw it?
Yes.
So you saw these people filing out of the SUV, yelling, and then what happened?
And then they started yelling and stuff, and then they started pulling out guns and started waving them around, and then that's when they shot their shots. And me personally, I only saw the person known as Tupac shoot in the air, and then so me and Eric got back in my truck and waited for that to calm back down because we weren't going to leave and make it seem like we were the ones that were doing it. So we were waiting and waiting, and then that's when eventually the cops started heading towards Shepherd.
All right, let me ask you this. Are you sure that that was Tupac that jumped out of that car and was shooting up into the air?
Yes.
I'm showing you now State's Exhibit 13. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
That is the person known as Tupac.
Are we all for State's Exhibit 13?
State's Exhibit 13 is admitted for all purposes. You may publish.
So that's Tupac, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you speak up so the jury can hear you, and also Ms. Wood?
Okay.
All right. So you saw him get out of that SUV, right?
Yes.
And you saw the other kids get out of there.
Yes.
And you knew Jordan Edwards.
Yes.
Was Jordan Edwards in that SUV?
No.
Any question in your mind about that?
No.
All right. Did you have a clear view of Barron Drive while you were sitting there in that truck?
Yes.
Did you see a car backing up on Barron Drive?
Yes.
Describe that to the jury.
When, after the incident in the parking lot of the nursing home, me and Eric were like watching everybody in the streets and stuff, and then everybody's leaving and leaving and leaving, and then the Chevrolet, the Impala, started backing out, and that's when Officer Groves, we saw walking towards the car, started yelling, "Stop the car, stop the car."
Okay. Now you say Officer Groves. You didn't know Officer Groves.
No, not at the time.
That's from discussions that you and I have had
Yes.
roughly a million times, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're backing up, and tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you saw.
I saw that the Impala was backing out onto Shepherd, facing south, and we were just watching everything and stuff, and we were listening because I had my windows down, so we were listening to the officer yell, "Stop the car, stop the car."
What were your emotions like then? This must have been pretty harrowing.
Yeah, after just running through the fences was enough to startle anybody, especially me.
And then you saw those people were shooting up in the air,
Yes.
and now you see this car backing up on Barron.
Yes.
So how did that make you feel?
I was pretty scared. I mean, to be honest, I was, and I was pretty frightened for everybody else too.
Did you see some police officers coming up on Barron Drive?
Yes.
Describe that to me.
On Barron Drive, the car was backing out, and they were coming towards the shooting that happened previously, and they we were just walking towards us, and then the car started backing out, and that's when Officer Gross yelled, "Stop the car, stop the car." And then the other officer...
The jury eventually said, "Stop the effing car," did you not?
Yes.
You heard that?
Yes.
And then did you see another officer besides Gross going up on that road?
Yes.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen jury about that.
As Gross was walking up yelling, "Stop the car," the other officer we could see on the other side, which would be to our left, was running up the street and just like at like a slow pace, but not like a sprint. And he was running up as the car was backing out onto Shepherd, and then facing directly parallel with Shepherd.
Describe the other officer besides Officer Gross.
Like how?
Physically describe it.
Physically, he had a bald head and his uniform and pretty stocky.
Did you see that he was carrying a weapon?
Yes.
Describe that to the jury.
At the time, I thought it was a shotgun, but I was later described to me as a long rifle, and that's what I seen, and that's how it looked to me. And he was at a slow jog, and he was just running up towards the street and towards the car.
Did you see what he did with his rifle as he was running up to that up Barron Drive?
Yes.
Describe that to the jury.
As he was running up Barron Drive, he had it to him as he was holding it, and then by the time he got to Shepherd, he immediately pulled it and pointed it towards the car.
Okay. And where was the rifle on his body?
Around his chest.
Now, you initially said that your initial reaction was to drive away, correct?
Yes.
And you decided not to after Eric talked you out of it, right?
Yes.
But your initial reaction was to leave the scene, get out of there.
Yes.
Because it's trouble.
Yes.
All right. So did you see that individual, that bald-headed guy, with the rifle, firing rounds?
Yes.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about that.
After he ran up to the street and pointed his gun towards the car, we heard shots come from the officer on the left, the bald-head officer, and that's when, after those shots happened, me and Eric, like, after everything happened and stuff, and the car was already down the street, we dug down in my truck, make sure nothing was wrong and everything, make sure everything, by the time more cops came, and then we eventually got out of my truck, and then we made sure everything was okay with the truck, and then everything was okay around us and stuff.
Now, before all that happened, you mentioned that Tupac and his associates were shooting up in the air. What did they do after they'd done that?
Immediately after they done that, they left the scene.
And which way did they go?
They went down Shepherd Street towards the north, towards the market area.
They took a ride out of the parking lot.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So they were nowhere around with those rounds fired.
No.
About rounds of the fire, I'm talking about the ball-headed officer.
Yes.
They weren't there.
No, they weren't there.
Okay. Did you see where the car that Jordan Edwards was in, driven by Vidal Allen, was at the time that those shots were fired?
Yes.
Describe that, ladies and gentlemen.
By the time the shots were eventually fired by the bald-headed officer, the car was parallel with Shepherd and facing down Shepherd towards the south, and headed, like, eventually speeding off towards the south, parallel with Shepherd.
Did you ever see whether or not that car at any time was trying to run over either one of those officers?
No. No. Sorry.
Describe that to the jury. What did you see?
Back when Officer Gross was coming towards the car was backing out right, so it would go left down, so it would go down south down Shepherd, and so the car was never facing an officer at the time, and it was facing towards down Shepherd.
Did you see whether or not the car actually turned to the left and went into the other lane?
Yes.
Describe that, ladies and gentlemen.
As the car was turning and speeding away, the car, because it's a two-way street, so the car hopped into the other, like partially in the other lane as it went down the street.
So you saw these shots fired, but you didn't know whether anybody was hurt or anything?
No.
How'd you feel about that?
I was scared for the most part, and I was also worried about what happened and made sure, hoping everybody was okay.
Now, you're not a police officer, are you?
No.
But in your opinion, as a lay witness, how old are you, 17 or 18?
I'm 19 now.
Okay. Did you see any reason for that bald-headed officer to be shooting at that car?
No.
When the car was backing up on Barron, was it going fast or slow?
It was going slow.
And away from Officer Gross?
Yes.
How much longer did y'all stay there before you left?
We stayed for a few minutes until my friends that were supposed to be at the party with us got there, and then we eventually left altogether.
How did you feel about all that?
I was scared a lot. I was scared deeply, and then I also was just mainly worried about everybody else, really.
Now, eventually, not that night, but later, did something happen that caused you to contact law enforcement?
Yes. The statement that came out about the shooting that happened was we felt that it wasn't completely true and wasn't true to what really happened.
Okay, who's we?
Me and Eric.
So what'd you do?
Eric contacted here, and then we both came together and make our statements.
Where'd you go?
To the court in Dallas.
The sheriff's office?
Yes.
About how far away do you think you were from where that shooting took place?
We were about 20 yards, in between 20 and 25 yards.
Jordan have a nickname?
Not that I know of. I knew him as Jordan.
And where were you in school?
I was at West Mesquite High School.
West Mesquite?
Yes.
And Jordan was at Mesquite?
Yeah, Mesquite High School.
But you guys played football
Yeah.
all the time?
Yeah, well, growing up, and basically everybody played everybody at the time.
That Jordan Edwards?
Yes.
Passman.
Mr. Gill?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Seaton.
Morning. Morning.
My name's Bob Gill, and I have a few questions for you also, all right?
Okay.
The night we've been talking about, you said you drove your Ford F-150,
Yes.
and you parked it across the street at the nursing home, right?
Yes.
And it was in the nursing home parking lot that this individual that you knew as Tupac fired some gunshots.
Yes.
The nursing home was across the street, across Shepherd Drive from the house where the party took place, right?
Yes.
And when you arrived, what portion of that parking lot did you park in?
In the row facing towards Shepherd.
That's a pretty long row. It
And
runs along
the row.
entire front of the nursing home, doesn't it?
Yes. I was in the middle of the parking lot, closer to Barron Drive.
Which side of you did the gunshots come on?
Off towards my right, in a diagonal towards my right.
So earlier you were talking about the vehicle that turned out on the Shepherd Drive facing southbound.
Yes.
So do you know north, south, east, and west at that location?
Yes.
Shepherd Drive runs north and south, right?
Yes.
Would it be a true statement that you were parked on the east side of Shepherd Drive?
Yes, I was parked on the east side, facing west.
Would it be a fair statement that the gunshots by Tupac occurred to the north of you?
Yes.
the house where the party took place was west of you, is that right?
Yes.
And when this vehicle that you described left the scene, it left southbound, right?
Left north.
Which vehicle? Oh,
The gray vehicle.
okay, the vehicle that Tupac was in left north.
Yes.
Yeah, I jumped to another vehicle. The other vehicle that the police were involved with, that left southbound.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yes,
Making
sorry.
me clear. What were you wearing that night?
I was wearing a green t-shirt, black jacket, blue jeans, and some cowboy boots.
And did you testify what color your F-150 was?
Yes.
What is it?
Gray.
And your F-150 was parked facing the house where the party took place, right?
Yes.
And you said you were scared by those events that night?
Yes.
Frightened by the events?
Yes.
Within seconds of the second shooting, the shooting by the police officers, within seconds, there were police everywhere, weren't there?
Yes.
Police, ambulances,
The fire trucks, yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of law enforcement and safety personnel present, right?
Yes.
And your response to all that was to leave, is that right?
Yes.
You decided to not stay around to help anybody with their investigation or to give the statement to anybody that night, is that correct?
Yes.
It was only the next day after you found out that your friend Jordan had been tragically killed that you decided that you needed to step forward.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you and Eric made that decision together, is that right?
Yes.
So how long did this whole thing last out there?
It was not long after the first gunshots by said Tupac. After that, it was minutes.
It was all pretty quick, wasn't it?
Yes.
I believe you said, well, let me ask you this first of all. When you contacted law enforcement authorities, you first contacted them on Sunday, is that right?
Yes.
It would have been the morning after all of this happened.
Yes.
And at that time is when you went down to the Dallas County Sheriff's Office and you answered questions put to you by an investigator, right?
Yes.
And that exchange with the investigators was a video recording. Isn't that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
When that took place, had you met anybody yet who was with the Dallas County Criminal District Attorney's Office?
No.
And I take it since then you've met a number of people that are with the Dallas County Criminal District Attorney's Office. Is that right?
Yes.
And those include the people over here at this table to my left?
Yes. Only one.
Only one?
Mr. Snipes.
On how many occasions have you met with Mr. Snipes?
On the occasions I've met him, it would be 3 to 4, including the walkthrough at the Shepherd Drive.
When did that occur?
That occurred, I want to say days after, weeks after.
Days or weeks after the events that we're talking about here, right?
Yes, after everything was settled.
Pretty long time ago, right now.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
What has Mr. Snipes showed you as far as materials to have you look at?
He showed me the body cam footage and also pictures of what happened.
He showed you body cam footage. Would the body cam footage be one body cam or two body cams?
2.
Would they be, whose body cams were they, do you know?
Officer Oliver and Officer Gross.
Before meeting Mr. Snipes, did you know who Officer Gross was?
No.
Did you know who Officer Oliver was?
No.
So you learned those things from Mr. Snipes, is that correct?
Yes.
When you looked at the body cam footage that you saw, it showed things from the perspective from the opposite side of the car from where you originally saw things, isn't that right?
Yes.
You were on the east side of the car that was shot at, and the officers were on the west side of the car, isn't that right?
Yes.
Do you remember when you were shown those body cams?
When I met with Mr. Snipes, yes.
The very first time?
It would be the second time.
You remember when that was?
No, I can't remember.
Was that before you went down and testified in front of the Dallas County Grand Jury?
Yes.
I believe you also testified this morning something about thinking that the weapon involved was a shotgun at the time you saw it.
Yes.
And you've since been corrected about that, haven't you?
Yes.
Who corrected you?
Mr. Snipes.
On the evening all of this happened, you saw the vehicle that was involved, right?
Yes.
And it was a dark colored vehicle.
Yes.
Are you a car guy?
Not really.
Did you know what kind of car it was at the time?
No.
Today you testified that it was a Chevy Impala, right?
Yes.
How did you learn it was a Chevy Impala?
Through Mr. Snipes.
Mr. Snipes told you that too, didn't he?
Yes.
What else did Mr. Snipes tell you that you didn't know already?
Other than that, that would have been it.
Mr. Snipes told you so many things you can't even remember what all he told you, can you?
He hasn't told me that much.
Not that much.
No.
But he showed you the body cams.
Yes.
And he showed you some photographs too, you said, right?
Yes.
What were the photographs of?
Photographs of locations of casings found on the ground in the nursing home, in the streets of Shepherd and Barron, and the photos of the car that was involved with the police officers, and photos of people that would have been suspects in the situation through the nursing home shooting.
Would that be people like Tupac?
Yes.
Have they arrested Tupac for the shooting out there?
I am not sure of that.
Tupac certainly committed a criminal violation out there, didn't he?
Yes.
He committed a crime, didn't he?
Yes.
That's the kind of thing you testified you were frightened by it.
Yes.
When you saw that shooting by Tupac out there, were you glad the police were there?
Yes.
Because they're there to protect you, isn't that right?
Yes.
Was the first time you actually saw police officers out there when you saw the two officers coming up the street?
Yes.
And when they were coming up the street, one of those officers was saying, "Stop the car," wasn't he?
Yes.
And you heard that all the way back where you were over at the nursing home, isn't that right?
Yes.
And you testified that you were at least 20 to 25 yards away from where the car was when the shots were fired. Right?
Yes.
And when these officers were saying, "Stop the car," they were further back from you than that, weren't they?
Yes.
And what happened was the officer started out saying, "Stop that car, didn't he?"
Yes.
Just like that, right?
Yes.
And then as that car continued to back up, and he continued to get closer to the car, his voice changed, didn't it?
Yes.
Things got more urgent, didn't they?
Yes.
He got more excited about what was going on, didn't he?
Yes.
His language changed, didn't it?
Yes.
It went from stop the car, to stop the effing car, right?
Yes.
How many times did he say stop the effing car?
From what I heard, only one or two times, and then
How did he say that? What was his voice like when he said that?
in an aggressive and excited mode, really, tone.
That car just kept backing up, didn't it?
Yes.
And you know from your driver's ed training that when a police officer says stop the car, you're supposed to stop the car, right?
Yes.
When a police officer is attempting to lawfully detain you, to continue to drive away from that officer is a felony violation. Isn't that right?
Yes.
It's called evading detention or arrest in a vehicle. And it's a felony crime to keep moving that vehicle when that officer says, stop the car, isn't it?
Yes.
So as that car continued to back up, he was committing a felony law violation, wasn't it?
Yes.
And you saw that with your own eyes, right?
Yes.
The two officers that were advancing on that car were advancing from the opposite side of the car that you were on.
Yes.
Isn't that right? They were advancing from the west, heading east, and you were sitting east, looking west.
Yes.
When the car backed out on Shepherd, it backed out moving towards the north, but then it stopped, didn't it?
Yes.
And then it accelerated, moving southbound.
Yes. Parallel
Did it
with.
move off quickly or slowly?
It backed up slowly, moved off fast.
Moved off fast, didn't it?
Yes.
And when it backed up into the lane on the west side of Shepherd.
Yes.
Towards the house, didn't it?
Yes.
And as it moved forward, it made an arc, didn't it, over into the, what would be the northbound lane, the opposite lane.
Yes.
The wrong way of traffic for that vehicle. Isn't that right?
Yes.
There were two officers out there that you saw.
Yes.
One you thought had a rifle, or had a shotgun, and you've since learned that to be a rifle.
Yes.
How close was he to the vehicle from your vantage point?
From my vantage point, he was farther from Gross, so he would be on my left side, on Gross's right, and then he would be, as the car was parallel with Shepherd, he was within feet.
Within
Feet.
how many feet?
I can't tell you. I don't know.
Officer, the person you've identified as Officer Gross, he was closer to the vehicle, wasn't he?
Yes.
Did Officer Gross have a firearm?
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Where was it?
On his hip. It was on his hip. I don't know how to say.
So you didn't see Officer Gross's weapon displayed to that vehicle?
It eventually was, as it was parallel with Shepherd.
Show me how Officer Gross was holding his weapon.
May I stand?
You may.
As Gross back from the he was facing the car, and he had it right here, walking, and then it eventually came up here, and then pointed.
Was it pointed at the vehicle?
Yes.
Was that when he was...
Well, are you finished showing what you need to show?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and have a seat.
What was he saying while he had his weapon out on the vehicle?
Stop the car.
Was he saying stop the car, or was he using the other phrase?
He was using the profanity language. Yes.
And he was excited.
Yes.
And he was being forceful with that vehicle.
Yes.
You think he wanted the vehicle to stop?
Yes.
There wasn't any question in your mind that he wanted that vehicle to stop, isn't that right?
Yes.
And the vehicle didn't, did it?
No.
So in your estimation, from where you were across the street, how far was Officer Gross from the vehicle?
He was within a few feet. He was not far.
What's a few feet to you?
3 to 4.
Not far.
Not far.
And that's from your vantage point across the street, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever attempt, while you were out there that evening, to direct any officers to where you saw the Tupac fired off his weapon?
No.
How many shots did you see him fire?
Tupac?
Yeah.
He shot around 7, 12. I mean, he was letting everything go, basically.
He was a bunch, wasn't he?
Yes.
It was a frightening bunch of shots.
Yes.
And when that happened, what happened with the general scene in the area once Tupac fired off those shots?
Well, as the party was getting broke up, people were heading toward Shepherd and dispersing. After the said Tupac showed up in the nursing home and shot their shots, everybody spread from there, and so there wasn't a lot of people in the area.
Once the shots were fired, were there people screaming?
Yes.
Was there people running?
Yes.
Which direction were they running?
Anyway, opposite of the nursing home.
They're running towards the house where the party took place, right?
Yes.
Did you see one person or two people out there firing weapons? Tupac by himself or Tupac with somebody else?
From my point of view, I only saw Tupac shoot.
Did Mr. Snipes tell you that there were two different types of shell casings found out there?
Yes.
So that Mr. Snipes told you there must have been two different weapons involved out there, right?
Yes.
So when I asked you if he told you anything else earlier, you kind of forgot about that too, right?
Apparently, yes.
We passed the witness.
Mr. Snipes?
The testimony that you gave this jury today, is that based on what you saw that night?
Yes.
Not based on what I told you?
Yes.
Mr. Gill pointed out that the car had actually gone across the center line over into the wrong lane.
Yes.
Do you have an opinion as to why that car would have done that?
To avoid the officers that were there.
To avoid them? Is
Yeah.
that what you said?
Yes.
Did you see anything out there that night that would justify Defendant Royale firing 5 shots at that car?
No.
You doubt your mind about that?
No.
You're in college now, is that right?
Yes.
Where?
Houston State.
Did you miss some school to come up here?
No, not yet.
When you,
This upcoming Wednesday.
what year are you going to be?
I'll be a sophomore.
You're going to study hard, aren't you?
Always.
That's what you're.
Mr. Gill?
Just a couple of other questions, Judge. Mr. Seaton, have you ever heard the phrase active shooter?
Yes.
And while you were out there that evening, did you understand, or did the individual that you've identified as Tupac, in your mind, was he an active shooter at that time?
Yes.
And that's something that frightens people and scares people, isn't that right?
Yes.
And that's something that you, as a citizen, want the police to react to.
Yes.
And the 2 police officers that you saw coming up the street, they weren't running away from those gunshots like everybody else, were they?
No.
They were going towards them, weren't they?
Yes.
When you were sitting in your truck, was the truck running?
Not at the time.
Okay. So the truck was off when you saw all these events?
Yes.
Lights were off?
Yes.
Interior lights off?
Yes.
Pass the witness.
That's where you're on.
May this witness be finally excused.
State yes.
You may be excused before we call it.
All right, very good. Sir, you may stand down. Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody else until the conclusion of this trial. Watch your step.
Call Eric Knight.
Sir, Eric Knight. Members of the jury, if you want to stand up, or Miss Wood, stand up and stretch your legs, please do. You guys doing okay? There you go. Let's come to order, please. You all may be seated. It's my electronic gavel. All right, Miss Wood, are you ready?
I am ready.
Very good. Let's go back on the record. The court took a very, very brief recess. And sir, if you could please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth. All right, please have a seat. Be responding to questions from Mr. Snipes. Who will this witness be for the defense? Either Mr. Gill or Mr. Brissett. Go ahead when you're ready.
Yes, sir. Please state your name, spell both of your names for the record, please.
Eric Knight, E-R-I-C, the Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T.
And Jeremy Seaton just testified in this case and said you and him were best friends. You agree with that?
Yes, sir, I would agree.
Y'all played football together?
Yes, sir, we did.
Did you know Jordan Edwards?
Yes, sir, I did.
How'd you know him?
There was a Pee Wee football program in Mesquite that I kind of knew him through. We weren't as close as I would. We weren't like heavily close, but every time I would see him, you know, I played with him. We were on different like levels, so I never actually got the chance to play with him. But you know, I knew him.
Did you have a little brother that played with him?
Yes, sir. Yeah, my little brother did play with him. I think my little brother got moved up for like a playoff game or something for that, like just for that game, and so he played with him a little bit. So my little brothers knew him.
You know Jordan had a nickname?
Not that I know of, no, sir. Yes, sir.
What exhibit number is that? All right. It's all right.
All right. You're still playing football?
Yes, sir.
You had to skip some practices coming down here.
Yes, sir, I did.
How do the coaches feel about that?
I mean, they're pretty open about it. I just told them I had to take care of some business, so.
You told them what it was?
Yeah, I just said I had to go to court. They didn't ask any questions, so it is what it is.
Okay. All right. So where are you in college?
I am in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, Bolivar, Missouri, at Southwest Baptist University.
Now, you said middle of nowhere. It sounds like you don't like that.
No, I mean, it's a great school. Don't get me wrong. I love the school, love the campus, all that. It's just not in a very familiar area of Missouri. Not in the area I'm familiar with, anyways.
Okay. The jury has already seen from Mr. Seaton where you and Mr. Seaton were parked that night. And the witness step down.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Careful.
Go ahead and show the jury where you were. Nursing home.
I was thinking
In the parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Facing down towards where the parking.
Yes, sir.
How'd you find out about this party here?
I saw it on social media, so Snapchat, Instagram. I saw it mostly on Instagram, the flyer for it.
And then did you tell Jeremy about it?
I did tell Jeremy about it, like late. It was real late. I saw it at the beginning of the day, and I didn't tell Jeremy about it till pretty late.
And did you convince him to go to the party?
I did, yes, sir.
All right. How old are you now?
I'm 19 right now.
At the time you went to this party, how old were you?
I was 18 at the time.
Okay. All right, so tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about you and Jeremy going to the party. Who drove?
Jeremy drove
What was he driving?
his truck, his big truck, F-150.
Did he pick you up?
He did pick me up, yes, sir.
What time did y'all go to that party?
I want to say we got to the party close to 10, so 9:45-ish, 9:30, something like that.
You parked the truck in the parking lot.
At the nursing home.
Why did you park so far away from the party?
The street was packed on both sides. Like initially we drove down the street just to look, and then like there was nowhere to park.
So tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about you going into the party and what you did when you got there.
Oh, after we parked at the nursing home, we walked across the street and walked down Barron towards the house. And we got to the house, and there were people at the door. You know, we paid our $2, whatever the admission was. I think it was $2. And then, like, we paid the $2. I think we got a stamp or a mark on our hand, something like that. And we walked through the door, and we literally just, like, stood and, like, put our backs to the wall. That's how packed it was. There were so many people inside the house.
Was there music?
There was music, yes, sir.
Did you get anything for that $2 you paid?
No. No.
Somebody made a lot of money for nothing that night. All right, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about this party.
I felt like it was a pretty common party. There was a lot of people for a small house. I was pretty surprised how many people could fit in there. But yeah, there was a lot of people. And then even when we walked in and paid, there was still more people pulling up to the party, coming up. So there was a decent amount of people there.
Were you drinking any alcohol that night?
No, sir.
Do any drugs?
No, sir.
Did you see anybody drink any alcohol?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you see anybody do any drugs?
No, sir.
Did it seem like just a fun time?
Yes, sir, it was for the most part.
Was there music being played?
Yes, sir, there was music.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about that.
I mean, the music was pretty loud. It was just like basic music of our age, just rap music, you know, pretty loud at the time.
Did you guys eventually go out in the backyard?
Yes, sir, we did. After we paid and we stayed at the front door, we were like right inside the front door, and we stayed there for maybe 5 minutes. It was hot. It was really hot. And so we walked out and we stood outside for a little bit, maybe like 10 minutes, something like that. We were talking to people that were walking up, still coming in, telling them to watch out for like a huge mud puddle. And then we went around to the back afterwards because the gate was open and we stood back there.
Did you happen to see Jordan that night?
No, sir, I didn't see him at the party.
How about Vidal or Galana?
No, sir.
But you knew those guys too, didn't you?
I knew of them. I wasn't as familiar with them as I was with Jordan. Like if I saw them, then I would know that they're probably related to him or that I knew of them, but I didn't know them like that.
So you're out of the backyard, and then did the police eventually come?
The police did eventually come. I can't tell you what time approximately they came. I didn't know what time it was, but we were at the back. We were watching a dice game, and then I see the lights from the front, and somebody...
What kind of game?
A dice game, so people were shooting dice.
All right.
And
How'd you know it was the police?
I saw the lights from the front, but then people were screaming like, police, police, like 12, 12. And
What's 12 thing?
I guess it's what people reference 12 meaning the police. So I mean,
Tell me, because I've never heard of that before. How is 12 police?
I honestly don't know. I guess it was coined into meaning police. I don't know the definition behind it. I just know that it means police.
So what did you do once you knew the police were there?
So I was watching. I see the lights at the front. People started yelling police in 12, and they all take off running. I'm looking, and I look for Jeremy, and he's by the fence. And so I run towards Jeremy, and then we hop like 3 fences, and then we walk across the street and get into his truck.
So you hopped over the fences in the backyard?
Yes, sir. That way, they were heading towards where we parked, so we were heading towards Shepherd. So I think we hopped 3 fences.
Over the back fence.
Yes.
So did you eventually get to Jeremy's truck?
Yes, sir.
And what happened then?
We got to the truck, and we just pretty much waited for a little bit. Like we sat in the truck, and then I think Jeremy was trying to leave, but I was like, nah, just like I told him to chill out pretty much. Like I didn't want him
out of leave.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, why you did that?
I didn't want the police to think we were like doing anything specific. I can't even talk. Suspicious. I didn't want them to think we were doing anything suspicious. So I just told him like sit in the truck, don't move, chill out for a little bit. I think he cut the car on, and I told him to cut it off. And then maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes after that, we got out the car, and we kind of stood at the front of his truck.
Why'd you do that?
We stood at the front of his truck just in case a police officer would have approached us. We would have been like, oh yeah, we just left the party. We didn't want to make it seem like we were doing anything wrong. You know what I mean? So we were just waiting. So I didn't want anyone to think that we were doing anything.
So you're outside the truck. Did you see anything unusual happen in that parking lot?
We were outside of the truck, and then a silver SUV, some kind of like 4-door car pulled up, like a truck thing, and at the time, I swear I thought it was maybe 12, 13 people inside that car. It was a lot of people, and they all got out the car. This is in Shepherd. They stopped. They parked in the middle of Shepherd, not like directly in front of Barron, but maybe behind a little bit. And they got out the car, and they were just like screaming. And yeah.
Okay. And tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what those kids did when they got out of that vehicle.
I don't want to say they were like asserting their dominance, so to speak, but they got out the car and they were kind of just like making their presence known, if that makes sense. They were like yelling and like like we're here and stuff like that. And
flexing?
Yeah, I guess you could say flexing. Flexing as in like I guess you could say flex is when a person has, I don't know, jewelry or maybe some fancy clothes, something like that they want to show off, so they call it flexing. But on that particular night, I don't remember seeing anybody that had on anything that looked that spectacular. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's like they were just, I don't know, they were making their presence known, like letting people know that they were there. You know what I mean? And they just did that for maybe like a minute, maybe something like that, not that long.
You said you heard them yelling.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear what they were yelling?
Not in particular. That is heard. There were a lot of different voices. I couldn't define exactly what they heard, but they were. I don't know. They were yelling and like I guess flexing still. Like
Jeremy just testified to this jury that he knew one of the shooters as Tupac, but you didn't know any of those guys, right?
No, sir. None of them had looked familiar to me.
Would you have been able to tell though if Jordan was up there flexing?
I think I could have distinguished his face. Yes, sir.
And was he there?
No, sir.
They started shooting in the air?
They started shooting in the air. They were in Shepherd. After they did all that flexing for a little bit, they got back into the car and pulled around into the parking lot of the nursing home where we were. They weren't like literally parked next to us or anything, but they were maybe like back there by a tree, like to the right of us, but we're still in the parking lot of the nursing home. They got out the car again, started doing the same thing pretty much, and I think I saw maybe 3 or 4 people with guns, and they started shooting into the air.
And were they still screaming?
They were still screaming and flexing and all that
How'd
stuff.
you feel about that?
Not gonna lie, that was probably my first time ever witnessing like shots being fired that close to me, and they were shooting in the air and stuff like that. So I mean, I was scared at the time, but I wouldn't say I was like terrified. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do anything that would provoke them to make them shoot at us. You know what I mean? And so at that time, we were at the back of the truck, outside of the truck. I see him start shooting in the air. I was like, okay, I think it's time for us to get back in the truck. So then they were still shooting. I don't know how many shots I heard. Then we got back into the truck. And by the time it took for me to get from Jeremy's cab, the rear end of his truck, to me sitting in the passenger side of his truck, I looked back and they had literally gotten to the truck already and were taking off down Shepherd, like towards, not towards the recreation center that's on my left,
Towards the Chinese restaurant?
but towards, yeah, down that way,
Which is to the north?
if that's geographically correct.
Okay.
I don't like,
Did they go right out of the park?
they went right out of the parking lot, yes, sir.
So you saw that, and then did you see a car backing up on Barron Drive?
Yes, sir. I saw a black car that was backing up from, it was on the right side of Barron. It was on the right side of Barron. I saw it backing out on the street, and it's the street from, when you go from Shepherd to Barron, it's kind of like sloped. So they were already parked at an angle, I guess, so to speak. It looked like it was one of the last parking spots that were there, so that's where they parked, you know what I mean? And I saw them backing out.
Were they backing out fast or slow?
No, so they were backing out slow.
And could you see down towards the party where the police officers, with the lights on in the car?
I saw the lights down the street, yes, sir, but I couldn't tell you how far down it was.
Okay. And do you know whether somebody could have gone down Barron Drive because of those police cars or not?
Can you repeat the question? Like,
You got police cars in the middle.
yes, sir.
So could you have gone down?
Oh, like, no, sir, the road was blocked.
So that was why they were backing up.
Yes, sir.
And then eventually, did you see police officers on Barron Drive?
Yes, sir, as they were backing out, and they were probably, I don't even want to say maybe not even half of the car was on Shepherd or turned on the Shepherd yet. They were still backing up, and I saw an officer walking towards them like, stop the effing car, stop. I don't want to cuss or anything, but you know, stop the freaking car.
Were they using effing?
Yes, sir. Like, stop the effing car, stop the effing car. And they were still backing up.
Did you know who was in that car?
At the moment, no, sir.
All right. And so they're yelling, stop the effing car, or not they, Officer Groves.
Yes, sir.
All right, so what did you see next?
After I see them yelling, stop the effing car, I see them, by maybe the 3rd or 4th time Officer Gross had said it, they're already on Shepherd, and they're facing as if they were going towards the recreation center. And I don't want to, yes, sir. And I don't want to say they came to like a complete halt, but their movement was stopped for that moment, as in like he was maybe shifting from reverse to drive. And I want to say Gross was standing in front of the car saying, stop the effing car, stop the effing car. And I see him start to maneuver slowly, like going around gross. Like maybe turned into got over to the opposite lane to go around them. Yes, sir.
Did you ever see the driver of that car do anything as far as driving towards either one of those officers?
No, sir, not at all.
All right. So the car starts to drive away, trying to avoid the officers, then what happened?
I don't know when the other officer had approached the vehicle, but as they were driving away, I heard glass shatter, and at the time I wanted to say that, at the time I said that I thought maybe both of the officers had fired, or I didn't know how many shots I had heard, but I thought I heard a shotgun, and then it sounded like some kind of assault rifle being fired as they passed them. And they didn't accelerate until maybe I heard 2 or 3 shots that had already been passed by.
Did you actually see the shots fired?
Yes, sir.
Describe that to the lady you don't.
I mean, at the time, it happened kind of fast to me, but like thinking back on it, I guess I was able to slow it down, because in that moment it was very fast. But as they were stopped, maneuvering over, try to go around them, and they're in the left lane, or almost in the left lane, and then I see the other officer like fire into the car. And I wouldn't at that moment. I wouldn't have been able to tell you how many shots were fired, and it all happened like literally so fast for me. And after the shots were fired, they like zoomed down the street.
And you're not a police officer.
No,
but
sir.
In your opinion, did you see anything that justified any shooting into that car?
In my opinion, no, sir.
This is going to seem kind of unusual, but the testimony that you're giving today is based on what you saw that night, as opposed from anyone telling you what to say or anything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You don't know Lieutenant Merritt or Lieutenant Hurley or Chief Haverly?
No, sir.
All right. So you saw these shots being fired, and then did you see the car continue down the road?
Yes, sir. I want to say after, I don't know at what shot as when they accelerated, but as the shots were being fired, that's when they accelerated down the road.
How'd you feel about that, what you just seen?
Well, having been that close to the other shooting that happened just behind me to the right as we got into the truck, I was still, I don't know, I wasn't like terrified, you know what I mean? I want to say I'm able to think in times of pressure and stuff like that, but it was definitely scary. It was a scary moment for me, but I wasn't like shook in a way where I couldn't act if something was to happen, you know what I mean? I can't really explain it.
Those police officer shots could hit you,
Yes, sir. They could have.
and you weren't in fear of your life.
At that moment, no, sir, I wasn't.
As you thought back on it, it's scary?
It does. As I look at everything as a whole, I feel like it could have easily been me or Jeremy that night. Especially if we would have left, or maybe we were pulling out too. Like, we could have left after we heard the first shots behind us, after we got into the truck. You know what I mean? Jeremy was ready to go. Like, in all honesty, he was ready to go. But I just kind of told him, like, no, like, don't leave, man. Like, they just took off down the street. You know what I mean? We're still right here in the parking lot. All this was going through my head at that time. It was happening so fast, but I was like, don't leave. Don't cut the car on. Like, take the key out the ignition. Like, just sit here. And so we didn't leave.
How long was it before you eventually left that parking lot?
Maybe 10, 15 minutes. We sat there for a while after the car had accelerated by. And then another police cruiser came and blocked the road, and an ambulance came. But we were still sitting in the parking lot the whole time. We were just like, at that moment, we were like, man, we just saw this. You know what I mean? And at that time, I didn't see how many people were in the car. You know what I mean? I didn't know it was a full car at the time. I didn't see particularly any other silhouettes that were in the back. I wasn't like just directly looking at the back seat, see who was in the car, stuff like that. But I'm just sitting here like a car just got shot into, you know what I mean? And that's not something you see every day.
Did you know that Jordan had been shot in the back of the head then?
At that moment, no, sir, I didn't.
Did you make any kind of reports to the police that night?
Not that night, no, sir.
And how'd you find out Jordan was dead?
Finished the rest of Saturday night. Sunday morning I woke up and I went to church with my girlfriend. I was just chilling pretty much all day. And I came home that evening and I saw on the news, like literally as I walked through the door in the living room, it was on the news, like breaking news, local teen, you know, shot at party, you know, stuff like that. I was like, dang, you know, I'm looking at the news, I'm just like, dang, what happened, you know what I mean? They start describing who it is and I see the familiar face, so like, oh dang, that was Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, damn, I'm feeling for him, hope he's okay. And then they described, like, where it is, and they start saying Balk Springs, and, you know, Barron Drive, and, you know, I was like,
You were there
yes, sir.
and seen the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
So did you see a news conference where Chief Hager was trying to explain what had happened?
Yes, sir, I saw that same day, actually. I think it was right after they had pretty much said all the details of what happened. I think I saw him, he made a statement that said something to the effect of a car was accelerating backwards down the road trying to hit a police officer. You know what I mean? At that exact moment, I knew that that was wrong. You know what I mean?
What did you do since you knew that was wrong?
As soon as I saw that, I went into the room with my parents because I didn't tell them that any of that had happened the night before. You know what I mean? I didn't think anything to it. You know what I mean? I know they'd probably be, I don't know, I don't know what would have happened to me if I would have told my parents, like, hey, like, you know, like,
Well, I know you're one of them.
Yeah.
Upset with you.
very upset, yes. And so
what did you decide to do?
I told my mom about it, and then the next day I went to school, and after school she told me that she had went up to the police department, the fire department in the little area that's at Balk Springs that we have, and she said she had told somebody, and I guess they gave her a card for a detective or somebody, and they got in touch, and so I think we went and made our statement that day, that Monday after school.
You and Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
So the two of you go down to the Dallas Sheriff's Office and make your statement.
Yes, sir.
Consistent with the testimony that you've given here today?
Yes, sir.
Did you see any reason for whoever it was that shot those 5 rounds at that car to have done that?
No, sir.
Pass it with you.
Cross-examination?
Thank you. And it was Monday that you all contacted the authorities about this?
Yes, sir. I was at school, and my mom told me afterwards that she had been in contact with somebody.
On Saturday night that all this happened, while you and Jeremy were sitting there, did you happen to have your cell phone with you?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did Jeremy have his?
Yes, sir, he did.
And you all sat there for, you said about 15 minutes after all the shooting took place?
Maybe 10 to 15 minutes, yes, sir.
Are you in school in Missouri or Oklahoma?
It's in Missouri, sir.
What city?
Bolivar, Missouri.
You're never going to forget that, are you?
I probably won't.
You said a minute ago that you saw a bunch of people associated with this vehicle. It first parked in the middle of Shepherd.
Yes, sir.
People got out, were flexing and carrying on and doing what they were doing, right?
Yes, sir.
And then it pulled up into the parking lot where you and Jeremy were parking.
Yes, sir.
And you saw how many people shooting?
I wanted to say 3.
You saw 3 people with handguns. Were they all shooting at the same time?
It was kind of sporadic, but I mean, once one person let a shot off, I guess the other 2 followed and joined in, and they were all shooting in the air.
Were the shots close together? Were they spread out? How did that happen?
Explain what you mean by close together or spread out, like as the timing of the shots or like how close they were in like proximity?
Demonstrate for us, if you would, what you heard.
It was like a bang and then bang, 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 bang. It was pretty close.
So just like you did right there.
Yes, sir.
And there were 3 people shooting,
Yes, sir.
pretty much at the same time.
Yes, sir.
You met with the police department on Monday. I guess that would have been about May 1st. Does that sound about right?
29, 30. I'm trying to think how many days is. Yes, sir.
That sound right?
Yes, sir. Sounds right.
It was the Monday right after this event occurred on Saturday night.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? And did you give a recorded statement to the police at that time?
Yes, sir.
You gave a video recording, you didn't they?
Yes, sir.
And since that time, have you had occasion to talk to people that are with the Dallas County District Attorney's Office?
Yes, sir.
That would be Mr. Snipes over here?
Yes, sir.
And how many other people from the DA's office have you met with?
I think I just met with Mr. Snipes. Anytime I met up, it was Mr. Snipes texting me.
And how many times did you meet up with Mr. Snipes?
Maybe 3 times.
Did he show you some video?
Yes, sir.
Was the video that you saw represented to you to be body cam video?
Yes, sir.
Was it represented to you to be body cam video that came from the 2 officers that were involved in this matter?
Yes, sir.
And the body cam video was shot from the opposite side of the car from the side you were on, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
You were on the side up in the nursing home, and these officers were walking on the other side of Shepherd, coming towards you.
Yes, sir.
Right? As the officers were coming towards you, was one of these officers saying something?
As he walked down the street, yes, sir, he was screaming, "Stop the effing car!" at the car that was backing out.
Was he saying it in a nice manner?
No, sir.
Was he saying it in a manner that led you to believe that he really wanted that car to stop?
Yes, sir.
He wasn't asking the car to stop, was it?
No, sir.
He was telling the car to stop, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
The car didn't stop, did it?
No, sir.
That car kept on backing up.
Yes, sir.
And then after it backed up, it started moving forward, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
And your testimony to this jury was that one of those officers fired at the car, and then the car accelerated off. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
So the car backed up onto Shepherd, it stopped, and changed directions.
Yes, sir.
And when it changed directions, there were shots, and then the car sped off.
Yes, sir.
You saw that from across the street at the nursing home, right?
Yes, sir.
You didn't know at the time the names of the officers involved, did you?
No, sir.
And you learned all that from Mr. Snipes, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You didn't know how many people were in the car at the time all this happened, did you?
No, sir, I did not.
And you've learned that since then from Mr. Snipes, right?
Yes, sir.
And you believe that there were 3 people up there on the nursing home parking lot shooting, and you've now learned from Mr. Snipes that there were in fact 2 different types of bullet casings found up there, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have a whole lot more information today about what happened out there than you had at the time you saw things on April 30th.
Yes, sir.
Who passed the witness?
Mr. Snipes? May this witness be finally excused or subject to recall? Sir, you may stand down, watch your step on the way down. Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody else. Yes, sir?
Before we call our next witness, we're hoping to adjourn the jury so we can take up a matter before the court.
All right. How long do you think that matter will take? Best guess.
5 to 10 minutes.
All right. If you would, please, members of the jury, go with the sheriff. All rise for the jurors. Mr. Snipes, while they're coming out, could you and Mr. Gill come up here real quick? And on your way up, could you also hand me states 6 and 7? That's the laminated pictures. Mr. Gill, Mr. Brissett.